Let's start with a TLDR for this video. Pulsar is going to be my answer for the question, but it's not going to be the case for everyone. So I've had Endgame's MPC 450 stealth for about a year now, and I always thought that it was great except for one aspect. I could never get the pad to lay flat on my table. I've tried rolling it the opposite way to force it to flatten. I've tried heavy objects and all sorts of methods, but to no avail. It's frustrating that there is this one section of the pad that just won't go the way I wanted it to. So I used other pads for a while, and mostly it was Pulsar's power control. Just about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I started to miss my old Destructor pad, and after using larger pads for a while, the old Destructor was just too small. But the glide effect, which I really liked, was still there. And that's when I remembered my MPC 450 and got it out. It was smooth compared to my power control and definitely not as rough as my Razer Strider. I was thinking of getting a replacement like the MPC 890 as maybe I was a bit unlucky with the 450. Of course, glass pads were in my mind, but honestly I wasn't, and still today I'm still not completely sold on the idea of glass pads. So since I had a good experience with Pulsar's half speedy, half control pad, I thought I should try the Power Speed, which is their own implementation of Cordura. It's riskier because if I again experience the uneven surfaces, that basically would mean it would be more evident in a larger pad. As it turns out, I didn't have to worry. Pulsar's pad is laying flatter on my table. It's a Cordura pad with dimensions close to 91 centimeters on the lengthy side and close to 40 centimeters on the shorter side. It's not a direct comparison, but the MPC 450 is still a pretty large pad at about 45 by 40 centimeters. Now, the Power Speed was rolled up when I got it, so it did take close to about 2 days for it to lay flat, or at least not have that unevenness on my first Cordura pad. It's strange because the MPC 450 was packed in a box that maintained its shape, but this Power Speed was packed like other hybrids or cloth pads. From the top part, the material is mostly Cordura. It's the kind of material you find in backpacks, or at least the tougher ones. Both pads fall under the hybrid category for mouse mats, where it has a good mix of smoothness and rigidness or toughness. Now, the material repels water and it's really easy to clean. Now, most hybrid pads are much easier to manage over time, but Corduras are even easier. If I were to compare Endgame and Pulsar's implementation, they feel about the same from my personal view. The Power Speed feels smoother, at least if I had to point something out. Now, in terms of how it affects gameplay, I cannot exactly pinpoint any difference, but maybe the Power Speed has better control. One more thing about the top side is the branding. Now, the MPC 450 does it better with a very subtle Endgame logo. To me, the grayish color sits well in a sea of blackness. Pulsar's branding is subtle also with that small white font size on the lower right corner, but it also has the confirmation that you are using a Cordura pad on the upper left side. The stitching for both Corduras are in the same territory in terms of quality, so I'd have to give the Power Speed more time, but it appears to have some longevity in it. Now, Endgame's edges are bigger, but in terms of being able to, I would say, notice them, both products don't produce too much annoyance. Really, both pads are forgiving for your wrists and forearms. The undersides are relatively the same. The patterns have that diagonal design, but in terms of preventing movements, intense gaming situations, both do a good job of keeping pads steady. It's actually the same if you use Pulsar's power control or even Razer Strider. So the important part is performance, and I'm happy to report that both perform well as you need them, but you might need to make some DPI adjustments or change your sense settings in the game you're playing. Because of the smoothness of these pads, large or small movements or swipes are easy, but it doesn't mean you overshoot or have to stress over unintended movements. If you're coming from rougher mat, it just takes some adjustments. And there you have it, a comparison between Endgame and Pulsar's offering. While I lean towards the Power Speed, it won't be the case for everyone like I said earlier. Assuming you don't run into the problem I had, either Cordura pad will work great. You can also check other brands as I assume performance won't be too far off. So, thanks for watching guys, go Cravier, and I'll talk to you soon.